The first strange thing was how kind everyone was to her. Not polite, not ordinary retirement party kindness. This felt softer than that. Careful, people she had never met touched her shoulder when they introduced themselves. One woman near the catering table said, "Your father talks about you all the time," with the kind of smile people use around hospitals. She smiled back automatically. The office had rented a private room above a restaurant downtown. Framed photos from different company events sat near the entrance. Holiday dinners, charity runs, team building retreats nobody ever enjoyed. Her father appeared in all of them with the same expression, slightly leaned forward, laughing harder than everyone else. He was doing it again tonight, holding court near the bar, telling stories, accepting praise with practiced humility. 37 years with the company, reliable, loyal, generous. She believed all of those things were true. That was the problem. "You're his daughter," another coworker asked warmly. "Honestly, we all admire what he's done for family." Something tightened slightly in her stomach. "What do you mean?" The woman looked confused for half a second, then recovered too quickly. "Oh, just everything." Then she escaped into another conversation. Her father caught her eye across the room and lifted his glass with a grin that said, "Behave yourself." It irritated her more than it should have. A few minutes later, his boss approached her near the drinks table. Older man, gentle voice, expensive watch. "I'm glad you came tonight," he said. "Your father worried you might not." "Why would he think that?" The boss hesitated. "Well, with everything you've been dealing with," there it was again. She kept her expression neutral. "I'm not sure what you mean." The man's face changed carefully, like someone realizing they had stepped into a conversation already in progress somewhere else. "Oh," he said quietly, "I may have assumed you knew what he shared here." Now the room felt warmer than before. "He talks about you often," the boss continued. "How difficult the last few years have been financially. How close retirement came to being impossible because he was helping support you." She stared at him, not dramatically, just long enough for him to understand something was wrong. "He said that?" The boss nodded slowly. "Only because people cared. We all understood he carried a lot privately." Behind them, her father laughed loudly at something near the bar. For a second, she couldn't connect that sound to the conversation happening now. 3 years earlier, her father had called her after midnight asking if she knew anything about refinancing. His voice had sounded unfamiliar then, too. Smaller somehow. Embarrassed. The mortgage payment started the month after, at first temporarily, then quietly permanent every month since. She never resented the money itself. What exhausted her was protecting his pride around it. He had insisted nobody could know, especially not people at work. They wouldn't understand. He told her once. Now she wondered if he simply needed a different story more than he needed privacy. The boss was still speaking. "There was discussion," he said carefully, "about whether the company could extend additional retirement support. Some people even mentioned family assistance resources." She blinked. "Resources?" For dependents struggling financially. The word dependent landed harder than it should have. Around them, conversations blurred into restaurant noise. Silverware. Laughter. Someone dropping ice into a bucket downstairs. Her father looked over again, still smiling. Still performing the version of himself everyone here knew, and suddenly she saw how much work it must have taken. The weary provider, the selfless father, the man sacrificing retirement to carry an unstable daughter through adulthood. It wasn't completely false. That was the worst part. He had helped her once, years ago, after college, after her divorce. Maybe he never updated the story because people treated him gently when he told it. Maybe he liked being necessary. The boss lowered his voice. "I apologize if I misunderstood the situation." She should have let him. She knew that even then. Instead, she heard herself say very calmly, "I've actually been paying his mortgage since 2023. Silence did not hit the room all at once. It spread. A coworker standing nearby looked away immediately. Another slowly lowered their drink. Someone near the cake table stopped speaking mid-sentence. Most noticeable was the boss. Not shock. Adjustment. Professional adjustment, like a man reorganizing facts in real time. Her father reached them a few seconds later, still smiling until he noticed nobody else was. "What's going on?" Nobody answered immediately. She hated that part afterward, how exposed he looked during those few seconds, older suddenly. Smaller around the eyes, the boss cleared his throat first. "There may have been some misunderstandings over the years." Her father looked at her then, not angry yet, afraid. He tried recovering quickly. "Families help each other," he said with a short laugh. "I think things got exaggerated," but his voice moved too fast now. The rhythm was gone. No one challenged him. That somehow felt worse. The party resumed eventually, though softer than before. Conversations separated into smaller circles. People became formal around him, not cruel, just careful. Later, she found herself alone near the back counter stacking empty plates no one had asked her to touch. Her father came beside her quietly. For a while neither spoke. Then he asked, "Why would you say that here? Not why would you embarrass me? Not why lie? Just why here?" She stared down at the paper napkins in her hand. "You told everyone I was failing." He rubbed his forehead slowly. "I never said failing. You let them believe it." His shoulders sank a little. And for the first time all night, he looked tired instead of theatrical. I didn't know how to explain needing help for my daughter, he admitted. That hurt more because it sounded true. She looked toward the dining room where his coworkers were still mingling politely around retirement banners and half-finished drinks. You could have just said nothing. He gave a faint, humorless smile. Men, my age, don't survive retirement by admitting they became dependent. Neither of them spoke after that. When she left, he stayed behind near the window speaking quietly with two former managers. As she reached the parking lot, she glanced back once. For a brief moment, before someone approached him again, he stood alone inside the glass doors, not ruined, not vindicated, just visible in a way he hadn't been before.